It's time for some LCK highlights today on League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys, and boy, are you in for a treat. Griffin and SK Telecom both on the docket to kick off Week 8 in the LCK. Well, that's pretty nice to have both those big boys.
That is the two big power players in the LCK right now. These are the two franchises that players and fans are looking at right now as the most exciting squads in League of Legends. And hey, getting them both playing on the same morning, that is pretty darn good.
And they're not playing each other, obviously,
Sad
because
times.
that happened very recently in the best series of 2019. But action started with Griffin versus Gen.G, and Griffin going for that baker's dozen. 13 best of series in a row to start off their 2019 spring split. And Gen.G are Gen.G. They've lost to Jin Air, gave them their sole win on the season, and have looked pretty bad for most of their series. But they still got Ruler at least, and Ruler, even though they barely have any wins, has 700 MVP points or 600 MVP points. So he's the main guy for them. But game one, you had some not so staple picks, but broken picks in this meta right now. Nico top for Gen.G, Cuve getting that, and Ruler getting the Vayne in the bottom lane.
That is the first time that Ruler has ever played Vayne in a professional setting here.
Why not do it against Griffin?
Why not? Let's try everything we got in the tanks, but it's Griffin early. What did you expect getting out to that 2-0 lead? But here comes that Vayne looking to get some gold in the pockets.
Yeah, nice angle there to grab the condemn. I'm going to say that was a little bit long range. I'm not so sure that should have landed, but he gets another one just on the tip of the Dragon Pit. Lahens early on was getting kills, but he was also getting caught out. That's a couple of kills that go the way of Gen.G, but they were still in a gold deficit. And then again, it's Lahens getting caught out and stunned and CC'd, and more kills the way of Gen.G. And then they're going on the Baron, still down a few thousand gold, and Tarzan, they don't have any vision, so he just ulties in, and he tries to get the steal. He's gone.
That is,
where'd he go?
We haven't seen that from Tarzan yet this year, because that is a major misplay. Goes right in there, tries to get the paranoia to take away the vision of what the hell the Baron's going on and take it down. Gets blown up. The Baron power play for Gen.G. They're pushing far, but man, look at that damage just pump out. It doesn't matter. Tarzan getting blown up for the second time trying to dive into the Gen.G backline.
This is an Elder Dragon and Baron buff and a late game Vayne, and Ruler decides, you know what, I'm about to go absolutely insane.
Ooh.
I'm gonna flash in and two-shot Chovy from half health, and he wasn't done.
Here we go.
He's thirsty.
Here we go.
He's killing everybody. The Penta
Nico
gets stolen.
Nico, what are you doing?
Come on, that's your boy from last year, and you steal the Penta.
That's where you go,
Ruler.
right into all chat, report Ruler.
Oh, ×9, boys.
No problems. Oh.
But that's the third loss on the entire split for Griffin, and it's Gen.G of all teams. Sandbox, SKT, sure, they're the top three, but Gen.G, listen, they actually played great in that first game. Griffin made some questionable mistakes. You saw those dive-ins from Tarzan, but Gen.G take game one, and then we head into the second game, and Griffin says, that's fine.
Wait a minute.
You can have it again.
What's going on here, Griffin? Come on, you gotta give a little bit more respect here. I know it's Gen.G, and I know you think that you can do it, but hey, that looked pretty darn good against your composition last time. Why run it again? But hey, early on again, it is going away for Griffin, and then, oh boy, that's not so good.
Yeah, that's the start they want. They get first blood again. Tarzan on the Xin Zhao going aggressive. Griffin changes up their comp. It's just maybe don't put Fly on Lissandra or stop him from getting that, because that's one of his very few comfort picks. And yeah, it's still the Vayne and the Nico again coming back in game two. But Sword grabs a kill there, and they want to chase down a few more, but they're going to run away. And then Life on the Braum. Where are you guys going? You're going to the wrong base, but he does get the flash over the blast plant. But Tarzan's there with him to grab another kill. In the early game, again, looking decent for Griffin, but then Peanut comes in on his one-trick Zac champion to pull in Viper on the Lucian again. Sideways culling, that's not doing anything, my man.
No, that culling's not helping you out there. And that is, speak about Peanut doing work here on the Zac. That is kind of crazy if you would have told me this 2-3 years ago that this is the champion that Peanut is gonna find success in 2019.
Learn from the best.
I don't know how much you want to be learning from Blank if you saw what he was doing last year, but right now, Peanut on Gen.G finally showing up. This is the guy that we've been talking about needed to be big for this squad, and don't get me wrong, Ruler's doing a lot of work here, but Peanut is enabling on this Zac.
This time, Tarzan jumps into the Baron pit and he gets the smite steal just as you're hyping up Peanut. He misses the smite on that one, but it doesn't really matter because the fight goes the way of Gen.G after that one, and the Vayne is coming online. Chovy's going to come in on the Zoe to try and clean up some kills. Viper does get one onto Nico, and it was a Baron for Griffin, and they have 3 Mountain Drakes, which is, as lots of pros have said, the most broken dragon in the game. But there's Tarzan again, just kind of wandering around, gets condemned against the wall, and he gets blown up instantly. And this is the exact same as game 1, except the other side of the map. It's Ruler again on the Vayne popping off.
Ruler doing it once again, and hey, there's that shout out to Peanut, getting that Zoe all the way away from the team fight, getting Chovy away from the Vayne, not letting him do any damage there. And hey, Gen.G is taking these team fights. They're in control. Are they gonna do what SKT cannot?
3 Mountain Drakes doesn't help Baron when you don't hit it at all. Uncontested. 3 inhibs eventually going down here for Gen.G, and Ruler just has free reign.
The dream.
Look how quickly
18-0. It's over.
Nexus turrets
Oh
go
my
down
God.
so quickly. Gen.G, they lost to Jin Air earlier in the season, and they redeemed their entire 2019 by 2-0ing Griffin and denying the perfect run. Obviously, Ruler and everybody else is fired up. It doesn't do anything for them for playoffs. They got pretty much no chance at that. It helps them with relegations, but really, they just go down in history.
Yeah, this is just one of those moments here where it doesn't matter what happens here for the rest of Gen.G in the spring split, and arguably even the summer, because taking down Griffin in their form right now, and yeah, I know it's just a regular season game, it doesn't mean much. This does mean a lot to these players and their mental strength moving forward, their confidence. These type of things are great. We've talked about it in smaller regions like Europe and North America before, talking about how getting a win over one of these top level squads, and especially, hey, a squad like Griffin, which is clearly one of the best, if not the best in the world, getting a victory over these squads can do wonders for your confidence and get everything going in the right direction for your team here. Now, this is Gen.G, and there's a long road to go. So we're not saying that they're going to make playoffs off of this victory.
Not at all.
But come on, this is a great victory here, and they did perform well as a squad. More mistakes from Griffin than we're accustomed to seeing or comfortable seeing, but definitely a good, strong performance here from Gen.G. You gotta tip your cap to their performances, especially Peanut and Ruler.
Yeah, it was definitely a combination of Gen.G playing probably better than we've seen in the entirety of the 2019 spring split, and then also Griffin making way more mistakes. Tarzan looked completely out of sorts, and on paper coming into this match, with how Peanut has looked, you would have thought Tarzan would feast on this series, but it wasn't the case at all. Peanut actually one of his best series of 2019, so congrats to Gen.G, and that's just why going 18-0 is so difficult. You're bound to have at least one off series, and it definitely felt like that was the case for Griffin.
And we've seen it before in the past. You don't have to look too far away. 2 years ago, Team Solo Mid tried to make that run here in North America.
P1!
And this is even North America. And they could not get through the whole run to 18-0. P1 taking them down. There is a thing here, trying to make that run for perfection, and you might slip up against a team that you're not quite giving the respect that you always need to do here in professional League of Legends.
Finally, the disrespect in the draft comes back to bite Griffin. Vayne and Nico threw in both games, and they fall in a sweep to Gen.G. Everybody predicted that, I know, coming into this day. Coming up after the break, there were still more games in the LCK, and it's the final time we'll have the Telecom Wars SKT versus KT Rolster. Welcome back, ya beauties, to League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys, and I mean, there's no reason to watch the LCK anymore. Griffin's not going to go undefeated. They lost, so what's the point? Well, the point is the Telecom Wars have their final installment, not because these teams won't exist anymore, because it'll just be SKT no more. It'll be T1 of T1 Entertainment, and no, Tyler 1 does not own this enterprise.
It's going to take them like years for me to not associate hearing T1 with Tyler. I don't think I'll ever not hear T1 and be like, it's Tyler 1. Yeah, Tyler 1. Oh, Faker. Oh, sorry, wrong
T1
squad.
Faker, T1 T. T1 Tyler. So they're on the same team now, but it will be weird to see that. But we still have one more SKT versus KT Rolster, and I mean, the upset started with Gen.G over Griffin. Maybe we'll have the same in this series against KT. and SKT. We got a Draven, and it's actually Gango starting over Zenit, who's been getting the majority of the starts in at AD for KT, and Smeb on the Fiora in the top lane, and they say, let's pay some attention to him early on. 3-man dive. Faker roams up. He even burns the flash. Come on, Smeb. You're better than that.
Oh, that is that damage that comes out early from the Rec side. We've been seeing this one emerge over the last week or two. This has been the champion that had seen some buffs, and it is major damage coming out early from this Rec side, and that is exactly what SKT used to get out early, but it's KT finding this advantage as we head towards the mid part of the game.
Yeah, now 5-2 in kills, and this fight looked good initially for SKT, but then even with Khan zoning 2 people in the back line, it's still KT picking up a couple of kills, and then Khan is forced to just run away, but he's eventually going to be chased down because it is literally impossible to escape a Braum.
You can't escape it, and especially, hey, if there's a Lissandra chasing you down as well, I really don't like your chances of getting away there, and it's, hey, not a good play for SKT.
No, and then there, it looked good. Faker caught out a score, but the awesome stopwatch on the Jarvan just completely baits SKT in. That is 3 kills gonna go the way of KT, and they're right by the Baron, so an easy pickup for them there, and then they go right into SKT's base, and they're already breaking down on 1 push. They take down an inhib turret, and things looking pretty good, especially with 2 Mountain Drakes. Here comes Teddy, going into the back line. He does pick one off, but it's just the support. Then he gets completely blown up. Gango is just whacking everybody with some axes. He still has a GA, so they can't even pop that. Now 3 inhibs, and KT clearly in control. It took them a couple of pushes to break through, but they were just racking up kills at that point. Gango looks great in the first time we've seen him in a couple of weeks, and the upsets continue.
Hey, tons of damage pumped out from the Draven there, and as you saw Teddy trying to dive in the backline, it looked great, but the problem there is the Kai'Sa didn't have the damage to get people down, and didn't have enough lifesteal to stay alive once you're diving that far back into the line of the enemy there. And hey, KT Rolster keeps this going today. The upsets are rolling, and they look to take down SKT in the final match of the Telecom Wars.
And game 2, you get to see finally Faker gets to play an assassin in a Kali, and Clid is camping in the bush. All this guy does for SKT is lock up first blood in literally 90% of their games. Yasuo versus Akali, always a fun matchup, and Faker, disrespect, gets hit by the tornado. That's a 1v1 solo kill for BDD, who was better than Faker throughout 2018, 2019. Well, BDD's had his struggles on the squad. Well, he hasn't. The rest of the team has. This dive by Khan and Clid, who have been the best members of SKT so far, clean. Clean as you can be.
I don't know how you can't be confident about SKT moving forward when you've already seen the synergy that Khan and Clid have been able to show together, and how they've partnered up for a lot of these kills on the top side. And hey, it's looking good for SKT. They're trying to push us to a game 3.
Yeah, and something we didn't even talk about here is this Nautilus support for Snowflower that's already died a couple of times. But this fight, good TP from Khan on the Vladimir, who's absolutely loving the Urgot nerfs, by the way, that he can not play that champion ever again, although Sword still does. Teddy picks up a couple of kills here. Nice wind wall, but it doesn't matter. You can't wind wall a Jarvan ulti with the Galio. That's another kill. 13-5 now for SKT. Some free zoning from Khan over the Baron. Score wants to get a steal on the Gragas, but SKT is just going to come around and say, how about we just kill you? They do knock out Clid, though. This actually got a little precarious. Look how low the Baron is, and there's no smite in the pit for SKT, and Snowflower gets a kill on Mata, but the Baron does go to SKT. Faker picks up a kill on the way out, and they will secure the big purple worm. But Snowflower lives. That would all SKT needs to close it out. 20-7 in kills. It wasn't super clean, but very still dominant for SK.
Yeah, not clean, but this was certainly not a close match in this game here. This one was all about SKT. This was all about Clid getting these advantages for the SKT laners early here, and they kept that advantage and they rolled through the objectives, getting us here to a game 3 in this final Telecom Wars matchup.
Yeah, and Faker was definitely down a lot early, the solo kill, and then he got ganked a couple of times, but good bounce back from him, and third and final game. Teddy on the Vladimir. Oh no, that's usually a scary thing to see. But Clid comes in again on the Jarvan. Faker on Lissandra, or excuse me, the Nocturne for Clid. He flashes out and survives. Mata, the hero, roaming mid with the heal. Summoner Spellbook on Rakan. Early lead for SKT, and then this scrap just outside of the Dragon Pit, and we're looking for a re-engage from SKT. They go right back in the flash in, and Khan does so much damage. Vladimir is a good champion, Mark.
Yeah, it is a great champion, and the best thing here is that, as we talked about, normally seeing Teddy on something that's not a marksman, you're a little bit concerned here. He nails the ultimate there on the Vladimir, gets the amazing flank. A lot of ADCs not used to flanking in like that. Teddy, picture perfect job, buddy. Gets a great team fight win here for SKT with lots of gold going in their pockets.
And you also had Khan on the Fiora. He gets caught out there, but it takes an eternity for KT to actually take him down. Enough time for the rest of Khan's boys to come back him up. Gango tries to come in on the Kaisa to clean up this fight, but Faker, that's just Lissandra. You stay invincible for 25 minutes, give or take, and then again, it's the Vladimir cleaning up the fight for Teddy. BDD, it's 1v4. Good luck, my man. And at this point, look how fed the Fiora is.
Oh man, this is where you get, and you're just like, you can't win this game anymore because no
over.
one can approach this split pushing Fiora. Just stays alive, keeps doing out damage, keeps dashing away. Khan is a fantastic Fiora. We've known about this champion with him for years. A real treat to watch it in this game 3.
Yeah, and when you 1v2 and survive with 70% health, things are going pretty well for the Fiora in that side lane. SKT look like they're in full control because they are in full control with that Baron buff. They're just looking for kills now. Ignoring the Nexus, pad that KDA. You got to catch up to the Griffin boys because all their KDAs took a serious hit today against Gen.G, but SKT reverse sweep. They avoid upset Thursday and take down KT 2-1 in, again, the final Telecom Wars. But KT looked better than they have. I just hope they keep the trio still of BDD, Smeb, and Score playing together because that's how you're going to win with this roster.
That's completely the hope here. You can't look anywhere further than a year away with this roster type of thing. You have to be thinking about right now and summer. Summer is where we need to see this top trio here on KT stay together because there just is still so much potential for them to play better and for the rest of the squad to work out better here for KT Rolster and to finally achieve some of these results that we've expected for this squad, because right now, I'd say they're probably the second most disappointing team in the entire world this year.
And for SKT, again, it's Khan and Clid being the standout performers on the squad. They have been through a lot of their wins so far. Faker, he did bounce back from some early deficits in this series, but there were a lot of times, and it's still been a theme in 2019, where he gets caught out recalling in bushes that are warded or just kind of being too far forward, which are uncharacteristic mistakes for him.
Yeah, a couple little sloppy mistakes here from Faker in this series, but overall, good play from him and good play from the SKT squad. And you do have to give credit still. He is facilitating a lot of these plays that are happening for SKT. You just like to see him being the one maybe carrying a little bit more from history perspective. But when you do look at the roster and you do look at the players on this squad, there is no concern. They're all able to step up and take over the reins at any point.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're seeing is this is a roster that he's had to do the least heavy lifting of all the SKT rosters he's been a part of. So I'm sure he's enjoying it quite a bit to not have to do all that hard carrying. He's still, obviously, Faker. So SKT, no worries so far, and they get a couple or one game closer to Griffin for that top spot. Probably not going to happen, but still, top of the LCK are the same boys that have been there all split long.